Maybe you're in your 30s, maybe you're in your 40s, or close to like 38 like me, and you're wanting to make sure that you're protecting your back for the long run. Well, good news is you're at the right place. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to cover making sure that we can move efficiently, getting into a hinge, and being able to handle load effectively and not compromise our lower back. So again, really important that you make sure that you're taking this time to learn this movement, because we want to make sure that we can still pick things up in the long run, right? We want to pick up our kids, we want to pick up our cats, we want to pick up our dogs, we want to pick up our groceries off the ground without having to worry about our back. So before we get started though, we're going to go ahead and get that word of power in the back of our mind and that we can think about while we're doing and practicing this movement. And that would be, I move with positive intention and gratitude. So first thing we're going to cover is actually the short stop deadlift. We're going to go ahead and we're going to hit that over the wall. So now we're going to go ahead and cover the short stop deadlift. First thing we're going to need to do is we're going to set up against the wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our back up against the wall and then our feet up against the wall as well. First step is we're going to adjust our feet. We're going to take one foot, we're going to place it right in front of our foot here, or right in front of our toe. Now we're going to match with the opposite side. Now we should be a good distance from the wall to really activate those hamstrings and glutes when we're getting into our short stop deadlift. So why is it called short stop deadlift? Ever watch baseball? Short stops are always doing this. And it's almost the same thing we're going to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to take our hands, we're going to place them onto our thighs. And what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to push the hips back without bending the knees or rounding at the lumbar. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to push the hips back as much as we can. My goodness. So you know, as this is the point where we can't push the hips back anymore, right? Because the hamstrings are all lit up, but we're not still up against the wall. So what do? We bend the knees. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend the knees, push the hips back, and boom, we're right up against the wall, and those hamstrings and glutes should be lit up like no, never mind. Notice when I'm in this position, I'm not rounding at my lumbar, right? So what we're going to do is from here, we're going to drive up again, and we're going to practice that movement. So again, same rules apply. We're going to push the hips back as much as we can, keeping the legs straight. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to bend the knees, pushing the hips back. My goodness, all while maintaining neutral spine and feeling those hamstrings and glutes light up like no, never mind. So this is the ever so fun short stop deadlift that you can practice to get into the hinge in a precursor before we start loading. So make sure that you're really nailing this movement and not feeling anything on the lumbar, feeling those hamstrings and glutes. So that word of power again, I move with positive intention and gratitude. And without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the ever so fun brace. Congratulations, you've learned how to get into that ever so fun short stop deadlift and learning how to hinge and activate the hamstrings and glutes effectively. So before we get started with our progression movements, what we're going to do is we're going to go over our ever so fun bracing techniques. So how we're going to do that is we want to make sure that we're simulating a full pop can. So for example, if you take a full pop can and you put it on the ground and you step on it, it'll support your weight because it's full, right? If you open that same pop can, pour the liquid out, step on it, kind of crumples, right? So what we want to do is we want to be that full pop can, and how we do that is we make sure that we fill the stomach with air. What I mean by that is getting lateral expansion through our core to help support our lumbar spine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take air in, and as we're taking our air in, we're actually filling the stomach with air, making that expand. So a good cue for you to use, whether or not you're doing it properly, is taking these two thumbs here, taking them right into your sides, like no, never mind, taking that air in and pushing the thumbs out. So we're going to take that air in, push those thumbs out, getting that lateral expansion. Now that we've got that lateral expansion, keep that core braced while you're breathing. And that's the movement that you need to learn for our bracing techniques to make sure that when we're picking up load, it's easy on the lumbar spine and it's nice and protected. So one thing that you can do after you've done the short stop deadlift and practice your bracing technique is progressing into our ever so fun foam roller, where we can kind of do that movement away from the wall. So we're going to place our hands here, right on the foam roller and onto our thighs. We want to make sure we're doing the same movement as we were doing with the short stop deadlift, pushing the hips back, getting nice activation through those hamstrings and glutes, right? Boom, boom, boom. Notice that as I'm doing the movement, spine is still nice and neutral. We're doing the movement just easy peasy, lemon squeezy, feeling those hamstrings and glutes light up. So that's one movement that you can do after you've done the short stop deadlift and practice your bracing, okay? So again, most important thing are all these things, so make sure you piece them all together, okay? Next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our RDL, or loading up with the dumbbells. What we're gonna do is we're gonna place the dumbbells to our side and in the front, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing, just like we did the foam roller and just like we did with the short stop deadlift. This time, because you're loaded, make sure that brace is 100%. So we're gonna go ahead, Feel that stomach up there, get that lateral expansion, push those hips back, boom, driving up. My goodness, should be feeling pretty darn good. Every time you're doing this, I move with positive intention and gratitude. You guys are doing great. So all in all, these are all ways that you can progress that movement so we can handle heavier loads, picking stuff off the ground. So really great job. Make sure you practice all of this because again, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, I'm Carlo Lande.